Bhagavate Vasudevaya Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtike. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, entitled Creation, Chapter 10, Krishna departs for Dwaraka, text number 27. You able to read? Aho bata swaryasas tiraskari. Aho bata swaryasasa tiraskari. Kushasthali punya yashakari bhubaha. Pashyanti nityam yadanugrahesitam. Smitavalokam swapatim smayat prajaha. Aho bata swaryasas tiraskari. Aho bata swaryasas tiraskari. Kushasthali punya yasaskari bhuvaha. Pashyanti nityam yad anugraheshitam. Smitavalokam swapatim smayat prajaha. Aho bata swaryasas tiraskari. Kushasthali punya yasaskari bhuvaha. Pashyanti nityam yad anugraheshitam. Smitavalokam swapatim smayat prajaha. Aho bata swaryasas tiraskari. Kushasthali punya yasaskari bhuvaha. Pashyanti nityam yadanugrahesitam. Aho bata swaryasas tiraskari. Kushasthali punya yasaskari bhuvaha. Pashyanti nityam yadanugrahesitam. Smitavalokam swapatim smayat prajaha. Synonyms: Aho bata. How wonderful this is. Swah yasasaha. The glories of the heavenly planets. Tiraskari. That which defeats. Kushasthali Dwaraka, Punya virtue, Yasaskari famous, Bhuvaha the planet Earth, Pashyanti see, Nityam constantly, Yat that which, Anugraha isitam to bestow benediction, Smita avalokam glance with the flavor of sweet smiling, Swapatim unto the soul of the living being, Krishna, Sma used to, Yat prajaha the inhabitants of the place. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Undoubtedly it is wonderful that Dwaraka has defeated the glories of the heavenly planets and has enhanced the celebrity of the earth. The inhabitants of Dwaraka are always seeing the soul of all living beings, Krishna, in his loving feature. He glances at them and favors them with sweet smiles. Translation with repetition. Undoubtedly it is wonderful that Dwaraka has defeated the glories of the heavenly planets and has enhanced the celebrity of the earth. The inhabitants of Dwaraka are always seeing the soul of all living beings, Krishna, in his loving feature. He glances at them and favors them with sweet smiles. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The heavenly planets are inhabited by demigods like Indra, Chandra, Varuna and Vayu, and the pious souls reach there after performance of many virtuous acts on earth. Modern scientists agree that the timing arrangement in higher planetary systems is different from that of the earth. Thus it is understood from the revealed scriptures that the duration of life there is 10,000 years by our calculation. 6 months on earth is equal to 1 day on heavenly planets. Facilities of enjoyment are also similarly enhanced, and the beauty of the inhabitants is legendary. Common men on the earth are very much fond of reaching the heavenly planets because they have heard that comforts of life are far greater than on the earth. They are now trying to reach the moon by spacecraft. Considering all this, the heavenly planets are more celebrated than the earth. But the celebrity of earth has defeated that of the heavenly planets because of Dwaraka, where Lord Shri Krishna reigned as king. 3 places, namely Vrindavan, Mathura and Dwaraka, are more important than the famous planets within the universe. These places are perpetually sanctified because whenever the Lord descends to earth, he displays his transcendental activities, particularly in these 3 places. They are perpetually the holy lands of the Lord, and the inhabitants still take advantage of the holy places even though the Lord is now out of their sight. The Lord is the soul of all living beings, and he desires always to have all the living beings in their Swarupa, in their constitutional position, to participate in the transcendental life to participate in transcendental life in his association. His attractive features and sweet smiles go deep into the heart of everyone. And once it is so done, the living being is admitted into the kingdom of God, from which no one returns. This is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita. The heavenly planets may be very famous for offering better facilities of material enjoyment. But as we learn from the Bhagavad Gita 9.20 and 21, one has to come back again to the earth planet as soon as the acquired virtue is finished. Dwaraka is certainly more important than the heavenly planets. Whoever has been favored with the smiling glance of the Lord shall never come back again to this rotten earth, which is certified by the Lord himself as a place of misery. Not only this earth, but also the planets of the universe are places of misery, because in none of the planets within the universe is there eternal life, eternal bliss, and eternal knowledge. Any person engaged in the devotional service of the Lord is recommended to live in one of the above mentioned three places, namely Dwarka, Mathura, and or Vrindavan. Because devotional service in these three places is magnified, those who go there to follow the principles in terms of instructions imparted in the revealed scriptures surely achieve the same result as obtained during the presence of Lord Shri Krishna. His abode and he himself are identical, and a pure devotee under the guidance of another experienced devotee can obtain all the results even at present. Thus ends the wonderful transcendental Bhaktivedanta purport. Om Jnanati Mirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Nitanamine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gaurabani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Branda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So we are in this wonderful section of Srimad Bhagavatam which is describing the prayers offered by the women of Hastinapur. The scene is Krishna is about to leave Hastinapur and these women who are standing on the roof of their palaces trying to control their tears are offering some of the prayers which are not even understood by the greatest of scholars trying to understand what is the absolute truth. So today's the verse is Aho Bataswar Yasasas Tiraskari Kushasthali Punya Yasaskari Bhubaha Pashyanti Nityam Yad Anugrahe Sitam Smitabalokam Swapatim Smayat Prajaha. Aho, the word in Sanskrit, aho means wow. What wonderful, bata, aho bata. This is also used when they use the glories of chanting the Hare Krishna mantra. Aho bataswa, pachas, aho bataswa. That third canto this verse comes, the similar use of the word aho bata. Aho bata. Even if somebody is born in the family of dog eaters, but if he gets to the process of chanting, what glorious thing is that? Aho bataswar yasasas tiraskari. Those of you who are familiar with Gayatri Mantra, we chant Om Bhur Bhuva Swaha. So Swaha refers to the Swargaloka. Aho batar swar yasasas tiraskari. Aho bata, how wonderful that the yasa, the glories of Swargaloka is getting tiraskari. Tiraskari means there is a word called puraskar when you are giving somebody some reward or you are praising someone, and the opposite of that is tiraskari. Prabhupada's word meaning is that which defeats. Aho bataswar yasasas tiraskari. Aho bata. How wonderful is this? That the glories of the heavenly planets is being defeated. It is being defeated by what? By whom? Kushasthali. Kushasthali is referring to Dwaraka, the sthali or the place where the Lord exhibits his pastimes. Kushasthali, Punya Yasaskari Bhuvaha. Why it is defeating the glories of heaven? Punya Yasaskari Bhuvaha. Punya Yasaskari means it's a very auspicious place, because even if, when the Lord descends to this material world, to this planet Earth, which is called Bhuvaha, he still, those three abodes also come along with him. Mathura, Vrindavan and Dwaraka. Kushasthali Punya Yasaskari Bhuvaha. What is so special about that place? Pashyanti Nityam Yad Anugrahe Sitam Smitabalokam Swapatim Smayat Prajaha. Pashyanti Nityam. Eternally the Lord is looking at those people, the inhabitants of Dwaraka. His glance is falling on them. Pashyanti Yad Nityam. Lord's glance. Pashyanti Nityam Yad Anugrahe Sitam. By his compassion, the Lord is looking at the Yat Prajaha, Sma Yat Prajaha. The inhabitants of Dwaraka are fortunate because they receive the glance of the Lord. Pashyanti nita. No, they get a chance to look at the Lord, and the Lord reciprocates. How does the Lord reciprocates? Smitavalokam. Smitavalokam swapatim smayat prajaha. Smitavalokam means smiling. The Lord is smiling. Smita. Actually, the Lord's smile is so special. People like us who are busy in material world, we don't have time for anything, right? We even come for service. We don't pay attention, but if you pay attention closely and look at the deity, actually the Lord smiles. And there is a difference between smita and hasya. Smita is smiling, hasya is laughter. So when you laugh, pura batti si dikhta hai. Dikh gaya, correct. Smita is more, it's more aristocratic. It's a smile. I mean, the people who are cultured and they smile, you don't see the teeth, but there is a smile. The Lord is happily looking. Smitavalokam, swapatim, smayat praja. Actually, if you see closely, you stand before the deity sometimes, not always, sometimes. You can see the Lord is smiling. Smitavalokam, swapatim, smayat prajaha. It's a beautiful purport by Prabhupada. Some of these purports of Prabhupada, of course, these are all prayers by pure devotees of the Lord. They are not some ordinary people who are offering these prayers because they are very familiar with the wonderful conclusions of the Vedic scriptures, which all of us struggle with. But still, the way Prabhupada puts it, even though it is spoken by the women of Hastinapur, who was seeing that Krishna is departing, but the way Prabhupada presents this with all the nice, sufficient arguments to explain certain things, just extraordinary. So what we will do is, we'll read the translation. There are 3 parts to this verse that we will see. We will see how Swargaloka, which is often the cherished destination of many people who are there in this material world, and people work hard, and what really Swargaloka is, and how it is of no comparison when it comes to Dwaraka, or the abode of the Lord. That is the first thing. So we will hear something about the destination called Swarga, and what happens when somebody reaches Swargaloka. Then we will also see the beauty of Dwaraka from maybe from Krishna book, and then we will see what is the effect of Lord's smile. What happens when Lord smiles? What effects does it have on all of us? That's what we will do, and we will conclude with Prabhupada's conclusion, which he is giving as so wonderful as to how we can experience the same effect of Lord's smile in our lives. I'm just trying to find out where is the Krishna book. There is a chapter where Narad Muni visits that. Which chapter is that? I got that. Okay. Yeah, so that is the flow. So let us start with the first thing, which Prabhupada is mentioning in this purport, is the heavenly planets are inhabited by demigods like Indra, Chandra, Varuna and Vayu, and the pious souls reach there after performance of many virtuous acts on earth. Modern scientists agree that timing arrangement in higher planetary systems is different from that of the earth. That is understood from the revealed scriptures, that the duration of life there is 10,000 years. 6 months on earth is equal to 1 day on heavenly planets. Okay. Now, imagine, you are there in a place where you have woken up in the morning and, the sun is rising. Like these days it's getting cold, winter, so the sun rises a little late, but the sun has risen and you are going for a morning walk. And so you are just walking there, and when you are going for the walk in that street of that particular place, the the hue of the sun rays bright, illuminating, which is falling on your face, and you're walking. You're hearing the sounds of the cows, maa, and all they're doing. And there are nice birds who are chirping, and the flowers are blossoming, and you are walking in that street. And then, actually, what is lighting up the city is not just the sunshine, it's the smile of Krishna. There's a smile of, because the city that you're living is not some ordinary city. It's Dwaraka, where the Lord resides. So when you are walking and when you are observing all these things and you are getting charmed and mesmerized by all those things, the real thing that lights up is Smitavalokam, Krishna's smile. The housewives, they are waiting at the balcony, the sound of the cow herds, taking the cows in the streets. There are children who are playing. All of these people, the river is flowing, the birds are chirping, everybody comes to a standstill. They pause. They pause and they wait when Krishna is passing by. And Krishna gives a smile to each one of them. That smile is so enchanting. It gives more satisfaction than thousands of years in Swarga. That's what this verse is trying to say. What is Swarga's this thing? Actually, there are so many wonderful descriptions which are given in Bhagavad Gita about Swarga. Right? Let's start with some very basic this thing which comes in the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita, where Krishna says, it starts with actually the verse, 41st verse if you take. Krishna is telling, Vyavasayatmika buddhi ekeha kurunandana. Bahushakhai anantascha buddhayo abhyavasayina. Right? Vyavasayatmika buddhi ekeha kurunandana. Vyavasaya in Hindi means some business. But Vyavasaya in Sanskrit means nischay, determination. Vyavasayatmika buddhi ekeha kurunandana. The other day I was mentioning about the four purusharthas, like dharma, artha, kama and moksha, on which the vehicle-like life of ours is going. There are four wheels, and how 99.99% of the people are interested in artha and kama. Artha only is not the thing. Artha se kaam milega. And so they are interested in that. So here, Vyavasayatmika buddhi, there is one buddhi which can be clubbed together, the dharma, artha, kama, and that is called kamatmaka buddhi. And there is one buddhi which is for moksha. They are different. I put dharma also in the same category because people will go to places of religious places so that they do some pious activities. With that pious activities, even once the pious activities are accumulated, they will be use it to have more prosperity or artha in life, and with that artha they will use it for sense gratification. Dharma, artha, kama is one side which is called kamatmaka buddhi, and there is another one, or bhogatmaka buddhi, and the other one is moksha, which is mokshatmaka buddhi. So vyavasayatmaka buddhi ekeha kurunandana. Whether it is you are following the path of jnana, then you would like to merge the liberation, or whether you are taking the path of bhakti, you would have a destination of Bhagavat Prapti. Irrespective of that, that is what is called moksha buddhi, or the buddhi, or the intelligence which is fixed on that one goal of achieving moksha or Bhagavat Prapti. That is one-sided. But the other one is, which is kamatmaka buddhi or bhogatmaka buddhi, is many-branched. Vyavasayatmika buddhi ekeha kurunandana bahushakha hi anantascha. Why it is many-branched? Somebody wants position or a designation. Now which position in that? It could be CEO, CIO, CEO, director, something, God knows. It's many-branched. Or you want money, but how much of money? So, and you don't like this particular position, something happened there, you look for another thing. So it gets many-branched. If you are kamatmaka buddhi, if you are bhogatmaka buddhi, then it is many branched. But if it is mokshatmaka buddhi, then it is single pointed. Nishchaya. Often people say that, we are not getting some taste for our devotional life. We are feeling sluggish, we feel lethargic, we feel kya karna hai. The reason why we are feeling all those things is because our goal is that mokshatmaka buddhi or bhagavad prapti has got diluted with bhogatmaka buddhi. There is somewhere or other it has come where we want dharma, artha, kama. And when that happens, it gets many branched. You see what happens, the first buddhi which I spoke, which is dharma, artha, kama, there the buddhi is actually following the mind. Whatever the mind is saying, buddhi is following that. Whereas in the second case, buddhi is dictating the mind. The first case, since the mind has got so many desires, many branched, Bhogeshwarya prasaktanam, bahusakhai anantascha, bahushakhai anantas, anantas, unlimited, this thing. Mind has got unlimited desires because the Vishaya, the objects for sense gratification are also too many and they are changing constantly. New things are coming in. So the mind is having so many new ideas, new things, and the buddhi is following that. This classic analogy which is given in Kathopanishad, which Prabhupada also quotes in Bhagavad Gita, is that of a chariot analogy. In the chariot, the horses represent senses. And the rein or the rope is the mind. And the charioteer who's sitting there is, and the person who's sitting there is soul, passenger. You change that thing to a modern context. Imagine this to be a car, a vehicle. Suppose you are driving the car. Okay, the wheels are like the senses and the steering wheel is like the mind. And the person who is driving, he is actually intelligence. Person who is sitting at the back seat is the passenger. Now imagine the steering wheel, you have no control. Wherever the steering wheel wants to go, you are just following. You are holding the steering wheel and you want to drive, you want to take a left turn, but the steering wheel wants to go in right direction, somewhere else. What will happen? Accidents. It is going to be disastrous. Ideally, the person who is driving the vehicle should be able to control the steering wheel, and he should be able to steer and navigate. But in the first case, because it is many branched, bahushakha and bhogatmaka, kamatmaka buddhi, so it is following the dictation of mind, and the mind has got so many colorful desires based on the changing subjects. I want this, I want that, I want this, I want that. So it is just going in that direction. Vyavasayatmika buddhi ekeha kurunandana bahu shakha hi anantascha buddhayo abhyavasayina. This is how Krishna begins to speak. Actually, there's so much of importance is given to this factor of intelligence, buddhi. It starts, esate abhita sankhya buddhi yogam tvam imam shunu buddhya yukto yaya partha karma bandham prahasis. If you work using your intelligence, you will become free from the entanglement of karma. And then he says, neha vikramana sosti pratyavayo na vidyate swalpam apyasya dharmasya trayate mahatavaya. There is no loss and diminution. You may get lost for some reason. Sometimes we hear this also that, somebody takes up to this path of devotion very quickly. And whereas somebody, despite this thing, because the samskaras are so strong inside us, they pull us, they drag us from this path. And somehow bhoga and aishwarya keep coming in our mind. I want to enjoy, I want to accumulate more this thing. Bhoga is the object of sense gratification, which I use, which I need for my pleasure. Aishwarya facilitates that. With that money I will. So I work hard to get that money so that I have that bhoga and I indulge in that. And the next verse, which I wanted to say because this verse is the context, Krishna says, Yamimam pushpitam vacham. Yamimam pushpitam vacham pravadanti avipaschitaha. Vedavada ratah partha nanya dastiti vadina. Yamimam pushpitam vacham pravadanti avipaschitaha. Actually, there are many foolish people. Foolish people because they don't know really what is their goal in life. They go after all this these things, simple, attractive things and fall for it. Yam imam pushpitam vacham pravadanti avipaschitaha. Vedavada ratah partha nanya dastiti vadina. Yam imam pushpitam vacham. Badri sometimes pulls me to the garden over here our famous Radha Damodar garden. How many of you have gone there? How many of you have taken some harvest out of it? Okay, when you go there and the harvest is not ready, sometimes you see that the plants will have some flowers. Lauki, वो लौकी आने से पहले उसमें flowers आता है. But imagine if that flowers never transform to fruits. It remains there as flowers. And that is what is pushpitam bacham. If it's, the words used in Bhagavad Gita are very powerful. I was telling yesterday also, somebody, in our colloquial language, like in Hindi, we say, खाना वाना हो गया माताजी? माताजी बोलेगी हाँ हो गया, ना हो गया. But खाना तो ठीक है, वाना क्या होता है? There is no vana, right? But we add that. But Sanskrit doesn't have any such words as filler words. Yamimam pushpitam bacham. Pushpita means flowery words. Oh, they look very attractive, colorful. But there is no fruit. Don't fall for this. Yamimam pushpitam bacham pravadanti avipaschitaha. Only foolish people go for that. Flowers aa gaya, flowers aa gaya. Mango pehle flowers aata hai. The smell, you can have that fragrance and then it transforms to fruits. That is what is needed. But ये खाली ऊपर में दिखा के आदमी को फंसा देता है. यामिमाम पुष्पिताम वाचम प्रवदन्ति अभिपश्चित वेदवाद रतः पार्थ नान्यदस्तिति वादिना. You see, there are some temples who the people go there. क्या है, आज शनिवार है, शनिचर का आज व्रत करते हैं. शनिचर का व्रत करने से क्या होगा, जितना मेरा ऑब्स्टेकल्स है all will go in life. और आज मंगलवार है, देवी का पूजा करते हैं. Or some Friday, and this thing, that thing. Vedavada Rata Partha. Vedas are also having two sections. One is this Karmakanda portion where they regulate a person's life so that, they come to the state of regulation is not something appreciated by the conditioned living entity. Nobody wants to come in the state of regulation. They want to enjoy independently without being corrected. And that is what is called Asuric mentality. Asura, the definition of Asura, which is given in Bhagavad Gita in 16th chapter, if you read very nicely. Actually, Asura is not somebody who's there outside with some long teeth and dark complexion with some curly hair, ugly looking person. No. A person who is Asura is not sure what is to be done, what is not to be done. Tasmat Sastra Pramanartham Karya Vyavastito Gyatva Sastra Vidhanaktam Karma Kartum Iharasi. So, what is to be done? Tasmat Sastram Praman. Sastra also, the word Sastra, Sastra, Sishya means to regulate, to discipline. Tasmat Sastram Pramanam te Karya Vyavastito. A person who is a devotee, he regulates his life based on the injunctions which are given in scriptures. Whereas an Asura, he doesn't know what is Karya, what is Akarya. Gyatva Sastra Vidhanoktam Karma Kartum. Karya, Akarya, Vyavastito. The Asuras, they don't know what is to be done, what is not to be done. Because they reject, they don't want to be regulated. So, the reason Vedas have got this flowery language which is filled with that, and that is very beautifully given actually in Bhagavatam. I'll come to that in a minute. But here it is mentioned that Pushpitam Vacham, Yamimam Pushpitam Vacham, Pravadanti Avipaschitaha, Vedavada Ratah Partha Nanya Dastiti Vadina. They don't talk about anything else. They said that the Vedas are filled with this. You do this, you'll get this. You do this, you want beautiful wife, worship this. You want to get some beautiful husband, then do this vrata. You do this, you'll get that. And that is how they keep people, madly engrossed. Then he is telling Kamatmana Swargapara Janma Karma Phalapradam Kriya Vishesha Bahulam Bhogeshwaryo Gatim Prati. Very, very powerful verses. Kamatmana Swargapara. Because Atma, the consciousness, is tainted with Kama. I want to enjoy. That same Bhogatmaka Buddhi or Kamatmaka Buddhi. So when the consciousness is tainted with that Kamatmaka Buddhi, Kamatmana Swargapara, then he's thinking that I'll go to Swarga. Swarga is so nice place, no? Nice apsaras all around. Somras bhi milega, thoda nritya bhi dekh lenge. Facilities are there. Prabhupada is writing in the purport so wonderfully, right? That, what is that? Inhabited by demigods like Indra, Chandra, Varuna and Vayu. Pious souls reach there after performance of many virtuous acts on earth. Modern scientists agree that the timing arrangement, 6 months of our day, 6 months of our calculation is 1 day. And they live for 10,000 years by our calculation. So wonderful, isn't it? How nice it is. Forget about Swarga being a place in the heaven. Swarga is a place where there is nice comforts are available. You now go to small cities in India, you find there are so many malls. We find there are so many markets. People have money, they've been given more facilities, and they are thinking how they can indulge and engage their senses. Forget about going to even malls and all. Amazon is there, Instacart is there. What else is there? Flipkart is there. There is other also that food you get something you order. No, what is that? Swiggy, Zomato. Zomato is there. घर बैठे बैठे आज पनीर खाते हैं. इतना रिसर्च करके आया सिन्हा जी, थक गया तो पनीर खाने का मन कर रहा है. ऑर्डर कर दिया, पनीर तो आ गया. वो पनीर फ्रेश है क्या? कोई देता है क्या? Actually, at least in Indian household, we are used to eating fresh every time. What is the guarantee, what is the control that things which are being sent or being given by someone is freshly cooked for you especially? No. In the US anyway, people are used to, forget about even Americans, even the Indians who have come here, they are used to cooking once in a week. Weekend mein banao, hafte bhar chalao. Right? So, कामात्मन स्वर्गपरा जन्म कर्म फलप्रदाम. कामात्मन स्वर्गपरा जन्म कर्म फलप्रदाम. क्रिया विशेष बहुलाम भोगेश्वर्यो गतिम प्रति. So nowadays if you see this Vedavada Ratah Partha, all these things are given in the Vedas. Now you don't need the Vedas. Modern day you have your videos, YouTube video. वो एक आदमी आएगा बोलेगा, hey, don't close this, wait, watch till the end, I'll tell you something very secretive, you have to wait and don't put your finger in that cross button, watch till the end, something very nice I'm going to share. And we are hooked to see that. And then he'll say, you do this, you'll get this, you do this, you'll get this benefit, you do this, and we follow that. Kamatmana swargapara janma karma falapradam kriya vishesha bahulam. Vishesha kriya, you have to do some austerity. It is not just some random this thing, you have to do some austerity. Kriya vishesha bahulam, and a lot of endeavor has to be done. Bhogeshwarya gatim prati. Why? Because our goal is bhoga and aishwarya. But he is telling, Krishna is using the word abhipaschita. This is for men of small knowledge, who are less intelligent, they go for this. Yamimam pushpitam vacham pravadanti abhipaschita vedavada ratah partha nanyadastiti vadina. And kamatmara swargapara janma karma falapradam kriya vishesha bahulam bhogeshwarya gatim prati. If one is attached to this bhoga ishwarya, there is no end to it. You go on doing that. Ultimately what you get? Again another life, and continue in this thing, in bodily problems of janma, mrityu, chara, vyadhi. The next verse, Krishna says, which is another powerful verse, Bhogeshwarya prasaktana taya apahrita chetasam vyavasayatmika buddhi samadho na vidhiyate. Bhogeshwarya prasaktana. Bhoga and Aishwarya, as I mentioned in the previous thing also. Bhoga is the object with which you enjoy, Aishwarya which facilitates material enjoyment and opulence. Prasaktanam. So they are many branched. They just branch out. Bhogeshwarya Prasaktanam. What they do is Taya Apahrita Chetasam. They kidnap. They steal away. They take. Like Gunda Munda aate hain, kabhi sunte hain hum log. They've kidnapped some people, some very important people. Actually, like that, they kidnapped our Chittam, our Hridaya. Bhogeshwarya Prasaktanam Taya Apahrita Chetasam. Very nicely they capture everything. In your heart, everything is there. So the heart is taken away by them. Bhogeshwarya Prasaktanam Taya Apahrita Chetasam Vyavasayatmika Buddhi Samadho na vidhiyate. You can never have the single-pointed resolute determination if you are attached to Bhogeshwarya. That is what happens to most people. Even if they take to the path of devotion, they are not able to give up Bhogeshwarya. Attachment and this enjoyment is so strong, deep-rooted. Maybe it is very subtle way. It is not very this thing. Many people even come to Vrindavan, or they take up to this path of devotion. But then somehow or other, that determination is not there because Bhogeshwarya is there. Bhogeshwarya prasaktanam taya aparhata chetasam Vyavasayatmika buddhi samadho. Samadho samyak rupena adhiyate. Samadho na vidhyate. That samyak rupena adhiyate, that buddhi, intelligence has to be absorption, or samadhi is nothing but absorption in Krishna. That doesn't happen. So you find excuse, you find this thing, you give this, you tell something, and then you run away, you go away. Gradually it diminishes. So very clear. Then Krishna's. Somebody may question then why these Vedas are talking about all these things, why they are confusing people, why these Vedas are filled with flowery languages. What is the point? To understand that, actually, in 11th canto, the Lord speaks one very nice verse. It says, Paroksha vado vedoyam balanam anusasanam karma mokshaya karmani viddhate hi agadam yatha. Paroksha vado vedoyam balanam anusasanam. Like a child, balanam anusasanam. A child needs to be anusasana, needs to be disciplined. Child will say that, no, I want to eat some candies or some chocolates. Mother is saying, no, you take some rice and dal. But the child is not listening. He's argumentative. Nahi, mujhe chahiye, mujhe candy chahiye, ice cream chahiye. Something he's saying. You have to do anusasanam, balanam anusasanam. Parokshavado vedoyam. Parokshavado, it's directly. Vedas are not telling directly what needs to be done, but it is telling in an indirect way. Parokshavado vedoyam balana manusasanam. Like we discipline the child, the Vedas are also saying at least, because the Lord doesn't want to give what we want, and we don't want to take what the Lord wants to give. Lord doesn't want to give what we want, and we don't want to take what Lord wants to give. So what Lord has to do? So he is given this Vedas. Okay, at least you want to enjoy bhoga, do it in a regulated way, so that you learn regulation, and by that regulation, so that you don't get entangled, you don't get affected by that, you come to a stage where you realize that this bhoga is of no use. This is a miserable place. I am running after something which is not worth at all. And then you come back to your, the destination of moksha. Parokshavada vedoyam balanam anusasanam karma mokshaya karmani viddhatehi agadam yatha. This example, the analogy which is given is a very powerful. Karma mokshaya karmani. The reason why Vedas are giving so many varieties of activities for enjoying sense gratification is ultimately leading to moksha. In earlier days, viddhatehi agadam yatha. In earlier days, how the mother used to give a very bitter pill to her child. How she used to do? Mix it with some sweet, right? Sweet is not what the mother wants to give. Mother wants to give the bitter pill, but the child doesn't want that bitter thing. What mother does is, she puts that bitter pill inside the sweet and gives that sweet to the child so that the child eats. That is what it is mentioned here. Childish and foolish people are attached to materialistic, fruitive activities, although the actual goal of life is to become free from such activities. Therefore, the Vedic injunctions indirectly lead one to the path of ultimate liberation by first prescribing fruitive religious activities, just as a father promises his child candy so that the child will take his medicine. The example is Vidhatte hi agadam yatha. Agadam is a child. So this is why the Vedas are filled with all these descriptions, and it is talking about, okay, you want, right, enjoyment, you even in this world, but do some regulated way. Don't do unrestrictedly, where there is no control and you end up doing so many things. Because when there are so many desires, how will you do it? Whether it is lawfully, unlawfully, chori karunga, lootunga, kya karunga, kaise bhi to paisa chahiye, and then a person gets entangled more and more with that. That is why in the very next verse Krishna says, Traigunya Vishaya Veda Nistraigunya Bhavarjuna Nirdvando Nitya Sattvasto Niryoga Kshema Atmaman. Traigunya Vishaya. This Vedas are filled with subject matter which is tainted with Traigunya, and you become Nistraigunya. Traigunya Vishaya Veda Nistraigunya Bhavarjuna Nirdvando Nitya Sattvasto Niryoga Kshema Atmaman. So we should not get carried away. We should not get confused with the instructions of the Vedas, which are 99% about enjoying the senses, but there are those 5% which actually talks about how we can get out of this. As I mentioned, this Puspitam Vacham is meant to give to people who are foolish to at least become regulated in their life if they want to go for sense gratification. Now, so I spoke about the first thing, which is the description of heavenly planets. Of course, Prabhupada mentions about one verse, 9.21. 9.21, if you see this verse in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Tetam bhuktva swarga lokam vishalam, kshine punye martya lokam vishanti, evam trai dharmam anuprapanna, gata gatam kama labhante. Tetam bhuktva. What is wrong? Okay, after all you say that, okay, Puspitam Bacham, I am going to Swarga, but I am going, no. I am ending up in Swarga, and Swarga has got all the nice facilities which Krishna is mentioning here in the purport, that it is 10,000 years that you will live by human calculation. 6 months of our time is 1 day of their life. Such a wonderful thing, and so many nice facilities are there. At least that much I can enjoy. What is the problem with that? So here it is mentioned, Tetam bhuktva swarga lokam vishalam. Vishalam, there is elaborate arrangement for sense gratification. Tetam bhuktva, you can enjoy that. Swarga lokam vishalam. But what happens? Kshine punye martya lokam vishanti. Imagine you go to a nice place, exotic place for vacation. Okay, and best hotel there you find. A nice seaside view, Mataji. President suite, and 3-4 आपका personal servants are there, and they are treating you nicely, royally, massage, nice whatever you want, breakfast with starters, and then lunch, dinner, सब कुछ है, enjoyment, नाच गाना सब कुछ रहता है. But the moment your credit card exceeds the credit limit and you are not able to pay, they will treat you in the most unsophisticated manner. They'll throw you out. Something like that. Kshine punye martya lokam vishanti. Tetam bhuktva swarga lokam vishalam. Kshine punye. As soon as our pious credit is over, martya lokam vishanti. We take birth here in this material world as some creepers and plants, which will be taken by, eaten by some animals. And from that semina, again we'll come out and enter into the womb and continue this process. Evam trai dharmyam anuprapanna gata gatam kama labhante. The word used here is gata agatam. Gata agatam kama. Gata agatam means again we take birth and death. We accept birth and death. Gata agatam kama labhante. Because of those unfulfilled desires. You see how slippery that path is. There is one path which can lead you to liberation, where you can enjoy eternally with the Lord. The other one which is attractive and which is promising, which is puspitam, and where there are so many avenues, many branch. But ultimately this is what happens. Gata gatam kama labhante. Right? So there is a very nice description of Dwaraka, but whereas here the verse is telling, because the Lord resides there in Dwaraka, it defeats the glories of heaven. Wonderful that Dwaraka has defeated the glories of the heavenly planets and has enhanced the celebrity of the earth. The inhabitants of Dwaraka are always seeing the soul of all living beings, Krishna, in his loving feature. He glances at them and favors them with sweet smiles. There is just a small description which comes in Bhagavatam. I just want to read a little bit of that, which talks about, actually, you are all reading, when we are all reading Krishna book, right? That's so wonderful. Sometimes, maybe people may think, okay, Swarga has got so much of opulence, pata nahi Dwarka mein kya hota hoga? Dwarka mein kuch hai ki nahi hai? And there is a description which comes in Krishna book, which is there in Bhagavatam, 10th canto, 69th chapter, where Narad Muni visits, actually this is so wonderful. Narad Muni visits Dwaraka just to see what Krishna is doing. He is after all married to some 16,108 wives. How is his life with them? Because generally husband and wife, they stay very lovingly and affectionately. They don't quarrel at all in lives. We know what they do, right? So he was very curious to see whether these people, this 16,000 wives are quarreling with Krishna, fighting, or what is happening. So when the great says Narada heard that Lord Krishna had married 16,000 wives after he had killed the demon Narakasura, sometimes called Bhaumasura, he was astonished that Lord Krishna had expanded himself into 16,000 forms and married these wives simultaneously in different palaces. Okay, by the way, if you read like this, you'll not get what Krishna or what Bhagavatam is telling. It's a very powerful thing. I'll just open the Bhagavatam verse. There's one verse which comes there. Chitram bataitad ekena bapusa yugapat prathak griheshu dvi ashta sahasram striya eka udabhat. Very nice verse. Chitram bataitad ekena bapusa yugapat prathak, which this verse, this line just now I read, it is talking about that. When the great says Narada heard that Lord Krishna had married 16,000 wives after he had killed the demon Narakasura, sometimes called Bhaumasura, he was astonished that Lord Krishna had expanded himself into 16,000 forms and married these wives simultaneously in different palaces. This is the thing which Sukadev Goswami is mentioning. Chitram bataitad ekena bapusa yugapat prathak griheshu. Can you marry simultaneously 16,000 people? Can you marry simultaneously 2 people? You can say, ठीक है ना, क्या है, एक बार शादी करूंगा यहाँ पे, फिर दूसरा मंडप पे जाऊंगा, वहाँ पे शादी कर लूंगा. No, he's saying yugapat. Yugapat means simultaneously, means I'm present here, I'm also present there. So one may say, no, I can, maybe, in a community there is one place where one after another this wives came and Krishna got married to them. No, he's saying prathak griheshu. Simultaneously, in one body, Krishna married to 16,108 wives in different places. Prathak griheshu. Why this has been given? Because there is a mention of one king by name, not king, what is that? Yogi who was sitting in river Yamuna underneath, and he saw those 2 fishes mating. Saubhari Muni. Saubhari Muni could expand himself to 50 different forms, and he married 50 girls of Mandhata, 50 daughters of Mandhata. So Saubhari had that yogic power. By yogic power, one can expand to maximum 50 different forms. There is a limitation to that. Here Krishna is marrying 16,108, 16,000 wives. I mean, 8 wives are already there. 16,100 wives. And he's marrying simultaneously in different places with the same body. That is why Sukadeva Goswami is saying this is astonishing. So when Narada heard that Lord Krishna had married 16,000 wives after he had killed the demon Narakasura, sometimes called Bhaumasura, he was astonished that Lord Krishna had expanded himself into 16,000 forms and married these wives simultaneously in different palaces. Being inquisitive as to how Krishna was managing his household affairs with so many wives, Narada, desiring to see the pastimes, set out to visit Krishna's different homes. So Narada actually entered into one of the homes. When Narada arrived in Dwaraka, what he saw there? He saw gardens, parks, full of various flowers of different colors. US you go, you find always one kind of tree. You don't see there are varieties of trees. Very rare, right? There are varieties of flowers, parks, and there are nice gardens, colorful flowers. And also orchards overloaded with variety of fruits. Beautiful birds were chirping. Peacocks crowed delightfully. There were ponds full of blue and red lotus flowers, and some of these ponds were filled with varieties of lilies. The lakes were full of nice swans and cranes, and the voices of these birds resounded everywhere. In the city, there were as many as 900,000 great palaces built of first-class marble, with gates and doors made up of silver. The pillars of these houses and palaces were bedecked with jewels such as touchstone, sapphire, emerald, and the floors gave off a beautiful lustre. The highways, lanes, streets, crossings, and marketplaces were all beautifully decorated. The whole city was full of residential homes, assembly houses, and temples, all of different architectural beauty. All of this made Dwaraka a glowing city. The big avenues, crossings, lanes, and streets, and also the thresholds of every residential house were very clean. On both sides of every path, there were bushes, and at regular intervals, there were large trees that shaded the avenues so that the sunshine would not bother the passerby. This is the description of Dwarka. Of course, he goes to the inner precincts of the palaces, the Antapura, so mind you, Narada was allowed to go because he's a Mahatma, and he sees the bedroom. Actually, bedroom is the place which, if you want to know how the person is living, what is his this thing, you should go and see the bedroom, because that is where you keep your most treasured things, or you keep it in the most untidy way. Because your drawing room, you like, people will come, so you'll keep it neat and clean. But what happens in the bedroom, we don't know. All kinds of things may go there inside. So Narada Muni goes there and he sees the bedroom, the inner precincts where the queens were living. And there's a beautiful description which is given. I'll not get into that, but very wonderful description. There's one thing which is mentioned there. This is just one very poetic way. There is one aguru fragrance which is given to the Lord. So they were putting those aguru fragrance in their bedrooms, and because of that aguru fragrance, there was some cloud which was getting formed. And because seeing those clouds, peacocks thought maybe it is going to rain and they will start dancing there. But there is no cloud or nothing because of the aguru fragrance. Anyway, that is the description of Dwaraka, and that is far more beautiful. Not just because of the external opulence. External opulence, anyway, it cannot, heavenly planets cannot match, because Krishna was present. Krishna's smile was there. We'll spend some time with about Krishna's smile, which I was talking about, which is so wonderful and which is given in Bhagavatam in various places. So this comes in the 3rd canto, 28th chapter, 32nd verse, where Krishna mentions, this Kapiladev, he says to his mother, Hasam harer abanata khila loka tibra, sokashru sagara vishoshanam ati udaram, sammohanaya rachitam nijamaya yasya, bhrumandalam munikrite makaradhvajasya. Hasam harer avanata khila loka tibra. Hasam harer, the smile, smitavalokam, that is what is used in today's verse. Hasam harer, the beautiful smile. See, here also it is hasam. It is not laughter. Hasam harer, just that beautiful smile of the Lord. Hasam harer abanata khila loka tibra, sokasru sagara vishoshanam. All of us, material world, who are there in this abanata, who are lying in this, fallen in this material world. Akhila loka tibra sokasru sagara vishoshanam. Because we are going through so many difficulties and miseries, we are crying. And those crying, how much is that, what is the quantity of that tears? Avanata kila loka tibra sokasru sagara. It's an ocean of tears. Maybe physically it may not come out, but it is there deep within. So much of grief, so much of miseries. But the Lord's smile, hasam hare ravanata kila loka tibra sokashru sagara vishoshanam. It can dry up. It can dry up the ocean of the tears which is shedded by the conditioned souls. Ati udaram, the Lord is so compassionate. Sammohanaya rachitam nijamaya yasya bhrumandalam munikrite makaradhvajasya. The Cupid who troubles people who are taking to this path of devotion or who are sadhakas has got a flag. Whose mobile is that? That it has got the flag of Makaradhvajasya, of an alligator. Right? The Makaradhvajasya is the Cupid's flag. That Bhrumandalam Munikrite Makaradhvajasya. So that Cupid is also getting, the Lord is saying, why are you disturbing my devotees? Sammohanaya rachitam nijamaya yasya Bhrumandalam Munikrite Makaradhvajasya. If somebody is being tormented by this, desires for enjoyment or sex desire, he should focus on the eyebrows of the Lord. The eyebrows of the Lord are so powerful. Just by the eyebrows of the Lord is saying, what do you think, Cupid? Why are you coming and disturbing? And Cupid is going away. Sammohanaya. He's feeling ashamed that he's disturbing this. Sammohanaya rachitam nijamaya yasya bhrumandalam munikrite makaradhvajasya. This is the effect of the Lord's smile. Now, to conclude these things which this women of Hastinapura are saying, of course, they are saying this heavenly planets is of no use, for which we have to do Kriya Vishesha Bahulam, and then again you have to Kshine Punya Martya Lokam Vishanti. What is it that we can learn, and how we can apply something in our lives? Just to sum up what we spoke, the thing is, we don't need to be, like Prabhupada is saying in the purport towards the end, that if somebody is practicing devotional life in any of these three places, then he can make rapid advancement. But here, Krishna, the last line of the purport, Prabhupada is writing that his abode and he himself are identical, and a pure devotee under the guidance of another experienced devotee can obtain all the results even at present. At present, we don't need to be there in Dwaraka. We don't need to be an inhabitant of Dwaraka to experience the mercy of the smile of the Lord. At present, wherever we are there, we can experience the same thing if we are under the guidance of another experienced devotee. His abode and himself are identical, and a pure devotee under the guidance of another experienced devotee can obtain all the results even at present. So, when Krishna may not be visibly present in front of our eyes, right? He may not be visibly present right now, but his glance and smile are experienced through the deities, Srimurti, smiling form of the Lord, holy name, Sri Nam, the sound incarnation, equally potent. Srimad Bhagavatam, his sound form, Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya, that restores that connection. And Sadhu Sangha, his devotees, who are carriers of his smile and mercy. So actually our temples are mini Dwaraka, where we can receive that same smiling glance daily. And we've run out of time, but I just wanted to close with one story, and I want to ask you 4 or 5 questions just to summarize what I spoke, and with that we will close. There is a story which Prabhupada, once a devotee goes and asks Prabhupada, saying that I want to see Krishna. So Prabhupada replied that you are actually seeing him. Every time you serve his deity, every time you chant sincerely, he smiles upon you. But you must learn to see that smile through service, not through curiosity. So you're seeing him. You can see when you serve the deity, every time when you chant sincerely, the Lord is smiling upon us. But we must learn to see that smile through service, not through curiosity. And so let me quickly ask you this questions and see if you got this right or not. So there are heavenly planets which are full of beauty, music and pleasure, and yet the queens of Hastinapur say that Dwaraka has surpassed even heaven. So what do you think? What makes a place truly great? Is it comfort or its consciousness? It's very simple, right? Why? Because the place where Krishna's presence is felt is greater than any material paradise. Wherever the Lord smiles, shines, even dust becomes Vaikuntha. Prabhupada is saying that smile of the Lord, you will go back to spiritual world, and that once you go back, it's far more this thing. Yad gatva na nivartante. It is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita. Once you go back, there is no more question of coming back to this place. So that's what Prabhupada is writing in the purport, that the celebrity of earth has defeated that of heaven because of Dwaraka, where Krishna reigned. What is the real heaven? What do you think is more fortunate? Someone living 1,000 years in heaven, or someone who just once sees Krishna's smile? The one who sees his smile even once. Why? Because heaven's pleasure ends with exhausted karma. 9.21 we say, Kshine punye martya lokam vishanti. But one loving glance from the Lord grants eternal life. Yad gatva na nivartante tadhama paramam pramam. What do people climb? Why do people climb mountains, launch rockets, or chase carriers? What are they seeking deep down? Hmm? They're seeking for happiness. They're seeking for happiness which is lasting, but they look in the wrong direction. The fulfillment comes not from reaching the stars, but from being seen by the Lord of the stars. Dwarka's glory lay not in the gold, but in the grace that flowed through Krishna's eyes. Okay, what is more valuable, the Lord's smile or the world's applause? The smile of Krishna actually purifies, as we saw, but the applause of the Lord, the applause of the world, it inflates our false ego. Hiranyakashipu's palace became dust because the Lord frowned, was angry at him. The power of Lord's vision, it is mentioned in the scripture, sa ikshata. When the Lord glances, creation happens. So that is why our scriptures glorify the glance instead of some material gift, because his glance creates, sustains, and liberates. The universe was born from his glance. Aitreya Upanishad says about that. So imagine the Dwaraka Vasis saw that glance every morning. That is why the queen say, Aho Bata! Oh, what wonderful Lord's glance. Can we live in Dwaraka today, even while staying in Shrewsbury? How? Wherever we serve the Lord with love and remember his smile, that place becomes Dwaraka. His abode and he himself are identical. This is there in the purport. Wherever we serve the Lord with love and remember his smile, that place becomes Dwaraka. So when you stand before the deity, do you see a murti or do you wait for that smile that melts your heart? Saying the thing is right, but do we see that? So why does heaven lose its charm for the pure devotees? Because heaven offers pleasure without relationship, while Dwaraka offers relationship that transforms pleasure. Prabhupada puts it in this way: whoever has been favored with the smiling glance of the Lord shall never return to this miserable earth. Shall never return to this miserable earth. But we have to earn Krishna's smile. It's not easy. If Krishna's smile is so powerful, why do we sometimes not feel in our life? Because we have turned our face away from him. When we turn back through hearing, chanting, and serving, we rediscover his gentle glance waiting for us all along. Just like the sun, it never stopped shining. We only turned our back. So, okay, last, if you could ask for one thing, wealth, fame, liberation, or his smile, what would you choose? Wealth. Smile. Really? Because the smile of the Lord includes everything. Where there is Krishna's smile, there is freedom from anxiety, the joy of service, and the guarantee of his shelter. So this is some take-home meditation. If Dwaraka means a city where everyone sees Krishna's smile, can my home become a Dwaraka? Yes. When every day begins with Krishna's darshan, every meal is offered to him, every word glorifies him, then our home becomes Dwaraka. Heaven may remain in the sky, but Dwaraka can live in our heart. Dwaraka did not become holy because Krishna lived there. It became holy because he smiled there. And when he smiles in our heart, we will never seek heaven again. So these are some of the important points from this verse. Very powerful. We will continue to see. Anybody has any question? Anything?
My question is regarding enjoyment. So, I've been watching some Prabhupada memories, and there was one instance where all the devotees went to the airport to get Prabhupada, but one devotee was told by the temple president to stay back and guard the temple, and he was thinking in his mind, I want to go to the airport.
Agnidev Prabhu. Agnidev Prabhu. I have shared that memory also.
Yes, that's how I saw the video. So then, basically, long story short, he stayed back for his duty to do his duty, and because he stayed back, Prabhupada's car came
Asked him to lead the kirtan.
Asked him to lead the kirtan, and he had the opportunity to do the kirtan right in front of Prabhupada and all that. And then he had the realization that we're not supposed to enjoy the spiritual master, we're supposed to serve the spiritual master. So my question is that in the highest form of devotional service, is the only thing that we're meant to enjoy service?
The question.
In the highest,
We're supposed to enjoy devotions.
Is service the only thing we're supposed to enjoy? Like meaning we're not supposed to seek enjoyment from anything else aside from service of the spiritual master, service of the Lord.
What else do you think is there enjoyment in this place?
So because sometimes Prabhupada would say sometimes people go to the festival, right, in a mood of enjoyment, and some people go to the festival in a mood of serving devotees.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's a very fine point, and it's true. Sometimes we come with the mood of enjoyment, where even if it is a festival, I see this as an opportunity to enjoy. For example, when the tune of Hare Krishna mantra, which I like, is being sung, I feel wow, so this is nice. And then the same prasadam which I love, pizzas, I would say this is great. If it is something else, some rice dal, then you look at Badri, kya bana diya Prabhu aaj, itna kyun, why so much of this thing, right? So our definition of enjoyment or our idea of enjoyment needs to change. At the beginning, to attract the conditioned living entity, even Prabhupada says that you should eat up to here, prasadam. But as we progress in our spiritual life, we should understand Jivo Yavet, what is it? Jivo 1.2.10. This business of bhoga or enjoyment is only to keep our body and soul together. What is that? Labho jiveta yavata. Kamasya nendriya pritir labho jiveta yavata. So this idea of sense gratification which we have developed over so many years, so many lifetimes, it doesn't go so easily. But all that we need to understand, we can't say no completely. No, you can't eat, that is not possible. You can't do some, whatever the basics, you can't sleep, that is not possible. But do it just minimum. Labho jiveta yavata. As much as that is required to maintain your body and soul together. So it's all possible. If you ask me, it's all possible if we use our buddhi properly. And where the beginning which I spoke, where is your buddhi? Is it kamatmaka buddhi? Is it bhogatmaka buddhi? Or is it mokshatmaka buddhi? Depending upon that, what is your goal? Then it becomes ekeha kurunandana. If it is not, then it is bahusaka. You will never be satisfied with this. Even if it is pizza mein thin crust mein what else, some cheese, something else. There is no end to it. It goes on and on. So yes, as of now in our conditioned state, we don't know even the value of devotional service. We do it just because we are asked to do, and that's what is called Vidhi Bhakti. But as we continue following and sincerely trying to please the authority through whom we have been given the service, we naturally develop a taste. That is what is the natural, is the intrinsic, it's what defines a person. Dhru dharayate dharma, that same word, is what we serve, if we have to serve. Because of our conditioning, we are serving our senses, we are serving our relatives, we are serving our body. And when that gets purified, we naturally develop a taste to serve the Supreme Lord. And that is what is our constitutional position, because we are His eternal part and parcel. How is not a question of how, it's where your this thing is there. If it is bhogatmana or if it is kamatmaka buddhi, then it will be many branched. So you have to decide, you have to use your discretion to see where you are heading towards. Unless it is moksha, unless your goal is very, very clear that I want to go this, I want Bhagavat Prapti, it will be many branched. So once your goal is set, then you have to use your intelligence, you have to strengthen your intelligence. First you know the results or the repercussions of being attached to that, kama or bhoga. What happens? It is many branched. Then once you have got the clarity about that, then you fix your goal on this thing. Then it will be single pointed. Because if the attention and goal is for Bhagavad Prapti, then it will be Vyavasayatmika Buddhi, Ekeha Kurunandana. Of course, if you ask practically how do we do that, then we should become very, very sincere in following the instructions which are given by the pure devotee spiritual master. That's what Prabhupada says in the purport towards the end. That we should take the instruction of our spiritual master as life and soul. That is what is Vyavasayatmika Buddhi. Because otherwise, how do I please Krishna directly, or what do? I don't know. So take the instructions of your spiritual master as life and soul. So you will develop this Vyavasayatmika Buddhi. Somebody else was right. Same. So we'll stop here. Granthra Srimad Bhagavatam ki